MSNBC foreign policy analyst Malcolm Nance had some thoughts on Trump's post-presidency plans. Let's take a listen.
The question is, how is he going to weaponize his real political base? Well, the only way he can is the only way that he's always done, is to incite things. And so he's going to, and I this is what the entire thesis of my book was, and I started it last August. He is going to incite a political insurgency, and it will lead to a terrorist and paramilitary insurgency. And it's not going to be like he's going to wake up one day and say, attack, the White House, it's being defiled, and people are going to come down with pitchforks and torches. No. It's going to be the way he said it. This government's illegitimate. Their agents are illegitimate. The FBI director is a traitor. We're going to wake up someday, and some group is going to carry out the plan in Michigan to take over a state house or kill a governor or assassinate congressmen.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, Krystal.
There is.
And, the most important thing to part, which is disgusting, is he wants this to happen. You know why he wants that to happen? So he can maintain his credibility, and because this is all just part of a larger scheme.
Sell more books.
Yeah, sell more books. We have three, I'm sorry, that he's written currently about how Trump is a Russian asset, plot to betray America, all of that. But more importantly is that he and many others, they have pivoted from Russiagate to actually the real enemy are Republicans themselves. That's how you get Joy Reid talking about de-Bathification in the U.S. The domestic insurgency, what's he implying? That you have to put it down with armed means, that you need the entire foreign national security apparatus directed right here at home. That's how you get zero questioning around all these troops. We didn't get to talk about this yet. Capitol Police wants those troops to stay 2 more months in our nation's capital.
Why?
First was some BS reason about March 4th and QAnon. And even that one, they had like one shred of some postings online they could point to. 2 more months. How much more money? Thousands and thousands of troops. We are literally talking about concertina wire in front of the nation's capital. Not a single response. It's this attitude that has led to that.
Well, and it's the fact that the Democratic Party and their most direct arm in media, MSNBC, has elevated people like this.
Yes, it has.
I mean, he really came to liberal resistance prominence and famedom during Russiagate. He's one of these people that accuse anyone who disagreed with him of being a Russian asset. Accuse Glenn of being paid by Putin or whatever. He's that type of person. And yet he's been elevated and given so much prominence, and their audience has been primed to really believe and take seriously what this guy says. So when they hear things like that, and he says it with such certainty, it's not, look, he's saying this, these are some of the ramifications, here's the evidence of how these groups are growing or whatever, back it up with something and put a little bit of critical thinking around it. But instead, it's just so certain. This is what's going to happen. We're going to have an insurrection. Paramilitaries are going to take over state capitals. They're going to march on Washington. And if that doesn't come true, he won't pay a single price for it. They'll just continue putting him on air and elevating him. And you're right. The reason why this is so troubling and so dangerous, and why we try to really cover it a lot here, is you can already see they're really blatantly making the case for this new national security state, expansion of power, more surveillance, more targeted at domestic actors, domestic terrorism. So this is taking what they did overseas, and now let's just directly go all in on applying it here in the U.S. The fact that troop deployment was extended 2 months and basically no one said anything about it is really frightening. It's a really frightening state of affairs. But this is exactly what the Democratic Party and their media enablers have created, this situation where people like him can make claims that are, that are not
flat false.
Yeah, that are just completely speculative, really irresponsible, and they get treated like they are reasonable. They're treated like they're serious, and they make the case and justify a really scary expansion of the national security
state. It really is. It's like I said. I saw that story in The Root where they quoted some insurgency expert. They're like, if this was Iraq, we would have drone striked them. And I was like, do you hear what you're saying? Do you understand
that a good thing?
What you're saying right now? Yeah. Also, how did it work? How's Iraq doing right now? How's Afghanistan? Not so good. They want to import basically their failed policy, which we subsidize to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars all across the Middle East, and they want to do it here at home. And even if you accept that was legitimate, how did it work out for you? Were they good at that? No. This type of political language and its normalization, especially on the arms of MSNBC, is incredibly dangerous because you are normalizing and bringing to root the idea that you can treat your fellow citizen as an enemy of the state and as the enemy of legitimacy. And you pointed out that poll, the Echelon Insights one from a couple weeks ago. The top concern amongst Democratic voters are Trump supporters. The top concern, number one, is Americans. And then basically the same thing on the other side. And we have to ask, who are the people directly responsible for this? I think he is absolutely one of the chief actors.
And you can see the way that people let their guard down when it suits their partisan ends. So not only with the extended troop deployment we covered here, Ken Klippenstein broke the story about how the FBI scooped up congressional phone records, cell phone records. That really is a crossing of lines that should have sparked a lot of outrage.
Nobody said a word.
Nobody seemed to really care. So there you go. When it's their guy who's doing the bad stuff, they just look the other way.
That's exactly right.
More rising for you after this.